Hello. I wanted to record this video and take the opportunity to close out the World Series of Poker for 2026 and this summer series. And I think I couldn't ask for a better series. I couldn't ask for it to come at a better time in my life when I needed it the most. And out of all the years that I've gone to the World Series in Vegas, I believe I've gone every year since it moved to the Horseshoe, except for last year. I wasn't able to go, and this was by far the best series I'd had. And I think this year, when I came to Vegas, I thought the goal was to prove something to myself. And looking back now, I realize that I was totally wrong. Even though previously I've had cashes, deep runs, final tables. If I've final tabled twice in the past prior to this summer series. One unofficial because I got 10th, so they don't count it. They only count 9th and up, so only one final table shows up on my resume. But in this series at the 2026 WSOP, the cashes were great, the deep runs were great, but they weren't the biggest thing that I brought home from the trip. I brought home pages and pages of notes, and now a study plan that I'll be able to carry forward, a YouTube identity and a channel. And that just sort of happened because normally I make videos for my friends and family, and a lot of them, they don't play poker, they don't know a whole lot about it, but I like to keep them updated and just sort of show them, what's going on and what I'm up to. And by doing that, I just sort of, landed on making the YouTube videos, and I think that's going to be fun, and it'll be fun. It's been fun doing that, and it'll be fun to see where that goes. I think also I brought home a much better understanding of the player that I want to be, and that helps more than anything. That's worth, you can't put a price tag on that. I played 9 tournaments. I cashed twice. I ran super deep into the $1,000 event 85, which I said in a previous video was one of my favorite events because it had really, really good players in the field, and just to be able to play with them and hang with them, and like I said, to just feel like I belong there, that felt great. I saved money. I didn't fire every bullet, and I didn't have to, and I didn't have to register for every tournament that I budgeted for. I budgeted to go out and to spend $11K on tournament buy-ins and lose it all, because realistically every summer that's what's going to happen, and I only spent about $6,000. So I didn't have to re-enter, and there were tournaments that I didn't have to enter because of tournaments that I was in. I made some extra money on the side, doing other things, while in Vegas. I met great people, some fun people, and had a great time. Yeah, I had some brutal coolers and variants and just really bad luck in some situations. But that's poker, that's something that happens, and something that you can't change. So, it is what it is, and I've learned to live with that. Things I would say that surprised me the most, good and bad. I learned and got to really see my live reads at the table just really paying off, and just how good my live reads are becoming, and how I can rely on them and trust them, and I'm only getting better at that. And a lot of times my strategy and my strategic decisions, how much more crisp they've become, and even in some places where it's not game theory optimal, and a lot of people wouldn't do it, just to find the strategy behind why I was doing what I was doing. That was very surprising and and cool in a lot of situations. quick example, just sort of random, quick. I remember in one of the ultra stack tournaments being early-ish to act, and I had a short stack. I had about 15 big blinds, and under the gun, a lady with a large chip stack. She'd been opening a lot of pots, and she opened, and it folded to me, and I had ace jack offsuit with about 15 big blinds, and the players, two to my left, had about 15 big blinds, and he'd been shoving a lot, going all in at a high frequency. And a player about one or two to his left had about 10 big blinds. So when she opened and it folded to me with the ace jack offsuit, then it's in most cases an all in because it's a strong hand, and I think I'm going to get some action behind me, but more so the opener. I don't think she's calling me, and I think she's just opening so many pots that she's going to fold, and I think I have a better shot of being called, or I'm sorry, I have a better shot of someone jamming all in behind me with a weaker hand. And that strategic idea, it paid off, and it the decision actually worked, because the player two to my left, he ended up going all in, and everyone folded, and the opener quickly folded. So, she was opening wide, and it was a layup call for me. And he had jammed and went all in with ace five. So I had him dominated, and that decision was very strategic, very planned out. And unfortunately, the flop came ace 5-9, so he flopped two pair, and the result wasn't what I wanted, but the decision was there. So again, I think the strategic elements and things that I was able to think through and implement, that was very surprising to me. Probably on some of the negatives, things that I've never expected but ran into: bubble pressure. Getting closer and closer to the money, I found that to be difficult to deal with. And I didn't realize how much that it was influencing my decisions until, just making notes every day and then studying those, and then seeing after that, okay, a lot of these decisions are fear-based and not logic. Health, really taking care of yourself. And I'm 41. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not 25. So eating right, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, that's, important things to remember in the future. And I didn't do a good job of that. So I think that's why I had some rough days, about 2 or 3, and especially some of the ultra stack days. One day in particular, because I played the ultra stack three times. And one day in particular, I can't explain it. My body was sort of telling me that I couldn't go, and I just sort of wasn't worried about getting there on time, but just getting there when I was ready. So I was a few hours late, and I was still 50, bigs deep by the time I sat down, and almost immediately, as soon as I sat down, my body was not good to go. I wasn't sick. There was just something going on for a few days where I had lost my voice, and something sort of brewing in my chest, but I never got sick. And I'm thinking fatigue, and again dehydration, and just not taking care of myself. But on this particular day, sitting down, immediately upon sitting down, just this mental fog came over me, where my head's just spinning, and I can't think straight. I can't see straight. I can't read the board. I can't really read straights. I can't tell, if there's straights on board. I'm having trouble telling the suits. Like, is that a heart or a diamond? Is that a spade or a club? And it was a really, really rough day. And especially someone like me, it's in my channel description, and I may have touched on it in the past, in terms of issues that I have. I have dyscalculia, which it's not quite, but it's sort of like dyslexia with numbers, but not. Like, I have trouble with basic arithmetic. I have trouble with estimations, the distances, time, and in particular counting. Like I'll count my chip stack in just sort of a repetitive way where I know I have 20,000 exactly in chips. I'll count them and then I have to count them again and again and again and again. And it's just sort of like this mental thing of questioning myself like I'm wrong. And that can get to me. So that's why I have to find other ways to play the game and to be better, because I can't rely on the math. And I also suffer from dysgraphia, which can cause issues. Not as often as the dyscalculia, but issues with the board, sort of misreading the board. And on that particular day where my brain was just not there, oh, it was rough. It was a rough day. But I sort of chilled out, and near the end, that's where I made that strategy decision with the ace jack, and was able to find that. That was the one good thing out of the day. Routines, routines really matter. That was something that was important to me. Getting up, eating my breakfast. My wife, she had hidden a pack of notes and a card for each day I was gone, and a picture of her or the house or one of her cats, and being able to put that up on the mirror, and that mirror, every day having a card on it with a note from her. It just became part of the journey, and that was very nice, and having that as part of my routine. And then after the tournaments, I would sit down, study my notes, go over them, feed them into my AI, and then go over them. And that helped me understand spots that I need to get better at, and what to study, and things I was doing wrong. And that again, that's the hugest takeaway from the entire trip, because like I said, you cannot put money on that. You just absolutely can't. The poker lessons, and before, there's so much content out there. You're just trying to study, and you're studying ranges, solvers, anything, charts, just anything, drills, anything that you can soak in, because you don't always know what to study. So either A, as a new player, or if you're someone that's looking to get better, you don't necessarily know where to start. And for me, that's how I was. It was just studying everything. But what I found was making notes. That helped me, because then I was able to feed it through AI. And you could use, Chat GPT, you could use Grok, you could use GTO Wizard or Happy Face, make your own. And the point being, you can find a way to use your own trainer and make these notes. And I would make notes on the hands, my decisions during those hands, what I thought, hands I played, hands I didn't play, opens that were close and I wasn't sure. Is this an open? Is this a fold? Is this an open 3-bet? Is this an open fold? Is this an open call? Things like that. And it was super, super helpful, because now walking away from the trip, I know that I need to become better between the 15 and 35 big blind zone. My short stack game is pretty solid, and I'm pretty studied and aware in terms of shoving or calling off when I'm really short. But when I'm in between and I have middle chip stack, and I'm not in that all in or fold mode, I have a lot of trouble navigating that area. I need more confidence post flop. I find myself in situations where I'm not quite sure the best play post flop, and that's something that I need to get better at. I need to get better at defending my big blind. Sometimes I'm not defending it enough. Sometimes I'm defending it too much, or with wrong cards, because maybe I'm getting too good of a price. Things like that. I need to understand board textures better. I need to recognize when fear, not poker, is driving decisions for me. And again, I need to trust my reads more, because I do know that that's something that I've worked on, and it's really been paying off. So I really need to trust my reads more and lean into that more. And I would say the biggest lesson, it wasn't even poker. It wasn't even poker related. It was realizing that improvement doesn't happen during tournaments. It happens afterwards. And it's when you're willing to be honest with yourself and review yourself. And that's sort of how my channel became my channel and how I found this, making these YouTube videos and my YouTube identity, sort of this YouTube surprise. I didn't expect this YouTube channel to become what it became. And I appreciate all of you that have taken the time to watch my videos, comment on them. That's been incredible, and I can't thank you enough. It means a lot. Like I said, I started making videos so my family and friends could follow the trip and just sort of, I always do that, whether it's Vegas or the circuit. I'm always making videos just to sort of tell them or explain to them a situation. But somewhere during Vegas, I realized what this channel is actually about. And it's not about playing perfect poker, because I'm not the best poker player in the world. Not one of the top poker players in the world, not even by far. I doubt I'm the best poker player in my hometown. But what I am is I'm someone that works hard and study hard and will continue to study and continue to get better. And I'll be honest about it. And that's something that I want to bring to you guys, is because a lot of times what I find on YouTube when I go out there to look myself is, and I'm not downing anyone by any means, but there's a lot of creators that they're just, recording their hands at the table and recording themselves playing cards and talking about the hands. Or you'll have a lot of videos where, it's people coaching poker and just, promising, oh, this is how you play it. This is the best way to play it. You have to play this way. Game theory optimal, and everyone in the field is playing this way. And I'll never do that. Like, I'll never tell you that I'm the best. I'll never tell you how to play. I will just share with you what I learn, what I'm studying, and things that I go through along the way. And I think that's what's going to be huge, because I would rather there be a channel exist where someone like me is documenting my journey to become the best tournament poker player that I can be, but also while being honest and going through the tournaments, going through the study sessions, going through them and looking at them honestly and through an honest lens without, pretending that I am one of the most elite poker players in the world. So that's I think the most important thing about the YouTube channel and what we'll do. And I have Vegas every summer, and I have Cherokee, North Carolina, the circuit I'm able to go to 4 times a year. And I have that, as well as I have a Hard Rock casino near my house, so I'll make as many videos as I can moving forward. I'm going to dive into it a lot more and spend a lot more time playing, a lot more time studying, and a lot more time making content, with sort of the goal and the philosophy of the channel just being every tournament ends with a review, and every review is intended to make the next tournament better. And that's how I want to run this channel. That's how I want to make these videos and do it for you guys. And a lot of you that watch my videos and comment, you have great things to say, and I appreciate it. And you may teach me things along the way, and things that I don't think about or things I don't recognize. And, that's very, very helpful as well. And I sort of call for, the video purposes and everything, I call Vegas Chapter 1. And I think Chapter 2 starts now. And I'm taking everything that I learned and I'm building a study system. I'm laying all of my notes on the table, going through them, categorizing them, and building that study system specifically right now before Cherokee, the circuit stop, which is going to come up in August here in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to be doing some drills, some reviews, some study, specifically for some of those Cherokee tournaments that I play. I won't go into too much detail about that right now. Just sort of tease that and what that's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do that. And again, if Vegas taught me one thing, it's that poker isn't about playing perfectly. It's about making the best decision you can, reviewing it honestly, and trying to make the next tournament better. And that sort of applies to life as well. And like I said, every tournament ends with a review, and every review is intended to make the next tournament better. And I truly believe, like I said, even though I had previous caches, previous results, final tables, etc., years from now, when I look back, this won't be the trip where I cashed twice, had a deep run. It won't be the trip where it was my first most successful World Series of Poker. I truly believe it will be the trip where my poker career really began. And that's because of the system that I have built and put into place to get better, so that I'll know what to study, get better at it. And if that drops off the board, great. We'll add something else. If we learn other leaks and other areas we need to improve, we'll add that, to the drills, and we'll continue to study those and get better in every area that we can. So yeah, chapter 1 is over. That's a wrap for the World Series of Poker 2026. Now it's time to get to work and see chapter 2, build the tournament system for us and what that means, and more content to come, as soon as possible. So thank you all for watching, and I very much appreciate it.